Hi everyone. Well, I made my mask. Fashion design. I'm going to show you how I did it. So here's the mask finished with the elastic. And this is the lining. And inside between the lining and the front fabric, I do have an interfacing called Lutradur, which is actually an industrial. It used to be an industrial product, now very much used in mixed media. And this is a polyester blend. But what's really good is you can breathe through it and it's virtually indestructible. So it'll wash really easy, no problem, and nothing will happen to it. So for this mask, I used, first of all, I made my pattern. And to make the pattern, I actually drafted it with the aid of my tailor's curve. And because this is a very slippery fabric, I had treated my ruler with grippy non-slip coating from Odif. And the easy part is that you can still slide it around whenever you want. But then when I actually went to draft it, put pressure on it, and it actually doesn't go anywhere. It will move the paper before the ruler moves. So this is really very convenient, especially when you're tracing curves. So this was really good, made my life a little simpler. Now I did the same thing, obviously, with the other ruler. Same deal, okay? It doesn't move because it's treated with grippy. The inside here is the lining fabric and the outside is the main fabric. So I cut these patterns out very, very quickly and very easily thanks to my 808 reactivating adhesive by Odif. I don't have to pin or do anything. I just treat my pattern, and I'm going to show you how I did that. First, you protect your work surface and take the back of the pattern and then shake the 808 well, and then just spray it on the back of your pattern. Now this is going to put a layer of glue on here. Obviously now I don't need my protection. And what it does is it's tacky when you first put it on, obviously. So you're gonna let it dry for 30 seconds, a minute. I'm in Florida here, so sometimes like today it's a little humid, so it may take a little tiny bit longer, but not much longer than a minute. And because I'm very impatient, I'm going to still put it on right away. You're going to fold your fabrics wrong sides together, okay? And then you just place your pattern piece. Boy, I was stingy, just making it. Okay, you're going to place your pattern piece on there, and to activate it so that it doesn't move, you're going to iron it, okay? Then, now it's held in place, so I don't have to pin or do anything. I just cut around my pattern. How quick is that? And how convenient. Now, what's really good about this is that once you've used this one time, you can then just keep reusing it and reusing it. It goes about 10 to 12 times depending on the fabric that you've got. The difference between this product and making a pattern out of freezer paper is that after 5 times or so, the freezer paper, I have to retrace my pattern. Whereas when my pattern is no longer sticky, because after a while the glue will come off, I just respray it, so I don't have to keep retracing a pattern, which is nice. So you can hear me peel it off, okay? You can hear that peel off. And if I touch the back of it now, it's kind of gritty, okay? Which means that here's my top fabric. Now that I want to do my lining fabric, all I have to do is come over to the fabric, put it down, and re-iron it on. So this is a godsend because I now don't have to pin, and I mean I have like a whole bunch of these to make for my family, so I'm going to be reusing and reusing this pattern. And again, it's just as easy to cut around, and I'm not pinning, I'm not hurting my pattern paper, which actually is a cheat because I use tracing paper, because I am going to make really fun masks out of patterns, and This way I'll be able to see what I'm doing through the tracing paper, no matter what color the fabric, which is not the case when I'm using freezer paper. So this has been a really great product to use. All right, so now I have cut my lining. I have my front, and I'm going to cut also the same thing out of this Lutradur to use it as a filter on my mask. I've now placed my main piece of fabric right sides together, and I'm sewing the center seam. Then don't forget a little bit of a back tack. What the heck? Now, when I open this up, I've already got the shape of my mask. Okay, so I'm going to repeat this step on the lining and on the interfacing. Now you have to iron down the seam, and we're going to do a nice top stitch on the front seam so that it looks nice and it holds it down very nicely. There we go. Top stitch down. Okay. So you want to have a pretty top stitch on here. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing on the lining and on the interfacing. Your next step is to take your interfacing and put it on the back of the fabric, and your lining and put it on the top of your main fabric. And you want to make those center seams match, and then I just clip it with a little wonder clip on the top and on the bottom. And you just start from the edge of your lining. You're going to do a back stitch, and then you're going to just sew the whole length, and you have your seams that are matched. By the way, it's a good idea to make the mask be like in a well, so that you can sew that center seam easier. All right, I'm going to do that on the other side. Now that it's sewn all the way around, all we have to do is turn it inside out. And that way, we will have a mask that's got a filter in there. I've ironed the pieces so that they're nice and flat. And now I'm going to top stitch the edge so that my seam does not roll over to the front. You're going to do that all the way through. And you do it again on the top, and then we'll put the elastic on. To prepare the casing to put your elastic in, that extra piece that we had left over on the main fabric, I went over to the ironing board and I first folded it over a 1/4 inch and then folded it over again, ironed it down to create my casing. Now I'm going to just sew the very edge of the fold on there, and that will create a casing to run your elastic through. So again, you want to back stitch this beginning part of your seam, and then you just go all the way down and back stitch again, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now that I've done my mask and that I have my casing done, I'm going to simply slide my tool, that purple thing, into the casing, which slides right through there. And then, because there's a slit in that, I can actually just put my elastic in there and then pull it right through. Then you just slide it out of your slit, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Now that the elastic is going through both casings, you want to sew your elastic together. So I have a little trick for this. So I cut a strip of the Lutradur, and I'm placing it beneath my presser foot. Plus, when I'm done, I'm going to trim off a piece of that luchador, which is going to make my elastic much stronger at that point. So this is what it looks like before I cut it out. I'm going to show you what it looks like finished. So I've trimmed the luchador, and as you can see, it makes my piecing of the elastic very, very strong because that's in there. And now I'm going to just slide this so you can't see it into one of the casings, and the mask is done. All right, everything's hidden away and the mask is ready to use.